Let's get this show going. Stream has
In the
started.
ditch.
And
Let's get this show in the ditch.
Yes. So, we're starting off where we left off last time. Black screen. Shit's about to go down. I think.
Oh shit.
Ewok, do you
It
mind taking
started?
it away?
Okay. Get up!
I jump at the same time. I feel Amicus jolt against me. We both struggle to sit up while pulling the covers up around us.
Out of the bed!
The jarring appearance of Cato has me staring at him in surprise, unsure of what to do. Amicus immediately moves though, pulling me off the bed with him, standing slightly in front of me as he hands me the blanket to cover myself up. We both stare at Cato, the old wolf, actually shaking with fury.
Make yourself decent, Amicus.
Amicus hurriedly snatches up underwear from the dresser, giving me one of my own as well. As I'm struggling to tie mine on, I notice Cassius standing in the doorway, something shiny and flashing with lights in his paw. He doesn't have the usual sour look on his face, though. Instead, he almost looks scared. Cato lets us stand in silence for a moment before turning his head towards the door.
Felix, enter.
I hear shuffling around out in the hallway, and Cassius moves to the side to allow a neatly robed wolf to enter. He looks about as old as Cato, though nowhere near as big. He moves timidly, looking about with his ears down.
Tumbling Leaf, this is you.
Felix.
Leave?
Leaf, are you going to unmute?
Oh, sorry. I had a really quick. Sorry, one of my friends called me and I had to do something.
I can read the line and then we can go back.
Yeah, sure.
Hi, it's me. I'm something.
He moves timidly, looking about with his ears down.
Yes, Your Imperial Majesty.
Is that the alien you treated for avian pox?
Cato jerks his head at me, keeping his eyes on Felix. Felix turns to look at me, and I can tell that he's trying to think of the right thing to say. Finally, he just gulps and nods his head.
Yes, I treated him 3 nights ago for avian pox.
And his species had no profile?
No, I could only tell that he was a primate. How is he conscious?
Come, escort Felix to the dungeons.
Yes, Cato.
What? Why? Why to the dungeons, Your Majesty?
Felix looks imploringly at Cato before the probes enter. Proceed to the hall or risk being shot, Felix.
Please, what is happening?
Even while he speaks, Felix backs away from the room, Cato completely ignoring him. We all listen as the doctor's stumbling steps out into the echoing hall, the wolf making an attempt to ask Cassius what is happening before things fall silent again.
Cassius, come in and close the door.
Cassius looks even more scared now, steps inside and allows the door to close. Cato stares at the two of us. At this point, Amicus has one paw on my arm, keeps me firmly halfway behind his back. I'm still able to look around his shoulder, at the furious acting emperor. Slowly, I'm starting to realize what might be happening right now, and Cato's next words confirm it.
Amicus, did you make first contact?
Amicus is silent for a beat, but responds in a strong, confident voice.
Oh, of course not. What in the world are you talking about, Cato?
Cato stares, jaw clenched, then screams at us at a volume I didn't think he was capable of.
Do not play games with me, Amicus.
To his credit, Amicus only jumps a little bit, his grip still firmly on my arm. The silence that follows rings in my ears as Cato seems to work to calm himself down. When he speaks again, his voice is barely above a whisper.
He is unprofiled. All children, abandoned or not, are profiled. He's not a simian. So what is he?
Amicus is frozen, and I feel my stomach drop, like I'm going to piss myself. I see Cato working his jaw.
And is it true he's your lover?
Lover? How would he know about that? Amicus doesn't answer this time, and that seems to be enough for Cato.
Fine. Do not answer. We will take the correct precautions. Calm.
Yes, Cato.
Terminate Marco.
No!
Amicus simultaneously throws himself in front of me while reaching back and hugging me to him with both paws, backing me against the wall. Jones begins to enter the room, but Cato barks out another order.
Pause last directive.
Pausing last directive. My view is obscured now, but I can hear Amicus's heavy breathing, his heart hammering so hard I can feel it through his back. Once again, Amicus allows the silence, Cato allows the silence to stretch out before speaking.
Then tell us the truth, Amicus.
You must not harm him. Otherwise I will give you nothing, and I'll have you thrown in the dungeon when I become emperor.
More silence. I wince, wondering what could have possibly wondering how that could have possibly been the right thing to say. Then I hear a low growling sound, one I'm sure is coming from Cato.
How dare you? You think you'll become emperor after this? In fact...
I hear a quick movement, and the next thing I know, Amicus is wrenched from in front of me. I watch as he slides across the floor before Cato pounces on him, pinning him there.
Cassius, grab the alien. Set the nerve to lethal.
No, please!
I'm frozen, but I manage to look over at Cassius, who seems just as frozen as I am, holding up the Nervo in his trembling paws.
Move, you idiot!
Cassius jumps and hurries over to me. I start to pull away, but he grabs me in an awkward hold, setting the Nervo against my neck.
No!
Amicus' struggles double, and Cato is bucking around like he's on a mechanical bull.
Cease struggling, Amicus. He will not be harmed if you do as I say.
Amicus seems to calm down a bit at that, panting wetly against the floor as he looks straight at me, face full of desperation.
You've proven yourself to be an incompetent fool, even more so than I originally thought. You've endangered our entire empire. For this, you will not become emperor. Rules be damned. It's a wonder how you thought you'd get away with this. It can only be a miracle that the monitors have not found out. And it surely would if you became emperor with that thing.
Cato stands and wrenches Amicus to his feet, twisting the other wolf's paws behind his back hard enough that Amicus lets out a bark of pain.
The third trial begins today. You will lose, and Cassius will become emperor.
Cato begins to push Amicus to the doorway.
Do as I say, and I'll let the alien live. Otherwise, we can do all of this in the most unpleasant way possible. Understand?
Amicus is quiet until Cato shakes him by his pinned arms.
Ugh, yes.
Good. Now to the amphitheater. We'll do this quickly. Do not make any stupid moves. Otherwise, I will let the drones escort you instead.
Cato presses Amicus towards the door. I see Amicus glance back at me, the look on his face one of utter helplessness. They're out the door by the time Cassius realizes he's supposed to be following. He jumps before awkwardly pulling me after them. It's almost sunset by the time we get to the amphitheater. We must have slept for most of the day. Amicus and Cato are already standing in the center of the amphitheater as Cassius struggles to move me down the steps.
Hit him down, Cassius, and get down here.
Shakily, Cassius plants me down on one of the stone steps before suddenly undressing. That's when I notice that he's tucked the Nervo into his waistband. Possibly because of the frantic nature of the whole situation, Cassius seems to have forgotten it, and I watch it fall into his clothes as he drops it from his waist. He then stumbles his way down to the center. Amicus, meanwhile, stands stiffly next to Cato, his paws clenched, and I feel my heart sink as I see the look on his face. He has no idea what to do. Several camera drones had followed us to the amphitheater, their lights glowing an ominous red. For several moments, Cato watches them arrange themselves in the small theater, their lenses flashing in the fading light.
Cato,
What, Cassius?
there was no trial scheduled for today. How will this be broadcast anywhere?
This will not be live. I'll think of a reason to tell the people later. We only need a single clip of you being victorious.
They will never believe this.
Though Amicus is putting on a brave face, I can hear his voice shaking.
Uknu is a combination of skill and luck, and it's not always the strongest that wins. We will manage.
And how?
Cato suddenly whirls on Amicus, throwing a punch so hard into his jaw that the older wolf spins almost 360 degrees before collapsing onto the hard floor of the amphitheater. I'm standing up without even remember doing so, heart hammering in my throat as I look down at Amicus. He doesn't move. Meanwhile, Cato shakes his paw lightly, like it only stung a little bit. Cassius, on the other hand, is clasping both his ears and his paws, staring down at his brother in a mix of shock and horror.
Cato, what are you doing?
Making it look more authentic, that's all.
Amicus stirs on the ground then, groaning and pushing himself up. I see dark spots forming under his face, blood dripping from his nose. A camera drone drifts down slowly, filming Amicus as he spits blood. I realize then that I have to do something. I've been told to sit on the sidelines far too long, and I'm not entirely convinced that I'm going to be okay after this. I'm a risk to the entire empire. Why would Cato let me live after I'm done being useful? I have to do something. So I quickly sit back down and lean and reach over into Cassius's pile of clothes, quickly finding the Nervo and pulling it out. Then I stand back up again and take a step downwards, and no one seems to notice.
Come on, Amicus. Get up. You need to grapple with Cass.
Why didn't we just use makeup instead?
There is no time.
Cato finally bends down and grabs Amicus under the arms and heaves him up to his feet. The big wolf left stumbling, unsteady, blood running down his chin.
Cassius, get Amicus in an ankle lock and drop him. That should be enough.
They set up their scene, even though Amicus seems almost completely out of it. All of them are distracted, and I realize that this might be my only chance. Slowly, I start to step Slowly, I take one step at a time, down towards the center of the amphitheater. Meanwhile, Cassius is struggling to pick up Amicus's leg, almost losing his own balance as he does. After that, Cato tells Amicus to fall back, which the wolf does, slowly. Cassius pins them to the ground after that, and I don't think it looks convincing at all. But that doesn't really matter now, as I'm only a few steps from the ground floor.
Now, stand and raise your paws in victory, Cass. Look proud.
At this point, things start to move in slow motion. Amicus is flat on his back, but he's looking right at me. There's a questioning look in his eyes, then a pleading one, as if urging me to step back. I don't. Instead, I take the final step down into the floor of the amphitheater, just behind Cassius, moving towards Cato. But the white wolf continues to celebrate his pretend victory, and he turns to raise his paws to face me. I see the sudden recognition in his face. I run out of options and jam the Nervo into his chest. Instantly, Cassius is shot backwards several feet to crumple next to Amicus, shivering and convulsing. Before I can even turn to Cato, though, the old wolf is on me, grabbing the Nervo out of my hands and pulling me close by the front of my robes, my teeth clacking together with how fast he does it. He doesn't look at the Nervo, though. He's looking at the Nervo rather than me, though.
Damn it! Thank the gods the Edith didn't have it set on lethal.
Cato fiddles with the device and realizes he's about to use it on me. And I realize he's about to use it on me.
Next line.
Sorry, I lost my place. I got it.
No problem.
I struggle, kicking at the massive wolf, but he's strong, stronger than even Amicus. But just as he flips the device around, the two metal prongs pointing at my face, I see a paw come over the top of Cato's head. Amicus grips into the metal grating of Cato's face mask, fingers locking into the gaps before he pulls. Cato screams and I hear a horrible mix of crunching and tearing, and an electronic hiss as red spurts from the old wolf's face for just a moment before he goes down. Amicus stares at me with wild eyes as he tries to keep Cato pinned.
Marco, run! Come to Neferu, run!
I stare at Amicus numbly for a moment which I want to do so much, but I can't. Then turn to start running. I just run as fast as I can, disappearing behind the trees and bushes, just as I hear Cato yelling for Com to execute me. 1 second, I have to actually jump to the next script. Hearing that, my whole body numbs up. I can barely feel my feet hitting the ground, pumping my arms as I tear through the garden. I don't even bother with the path. Instead, crashing through the foliage and bushes, scratching up the skin on my arms and legs as I trample over something covered in thorns. I don't even care as I run through a 10-foot wide spider web, the massive spider in the middle hitting my chest, then falling and disappearing under my feet. The sound of Cato and Amicus struggling behind me has long since faded. Now all there is my heavy breathing and the snapping and crashing of plants around me. I wonder if maybe I should stop making noise, try to hide instead. But I worry that Com will know exactly where I'm at. I know they're following me right now, and ominously I can and I can't hear a damn thing. I can't see them either, just the flashes of branches and greenery around me. When I finally make it to the main path to the palace, I catch my first glimpse of the drones. They're hovering further up the path towards the amphitheater. It makes me wonder if they're stuck on a grid somehow, and that had been able to follow me into the actual garden. I think about turning back and trying to hide in the garden again, just as I rush towards the entrance, but I realize immediately that they're too close. Sure enough, I hear a crack behind me, just as I turn the corner in the main hall, towards Neferu's room. I get a glimpse of it out of the corner of my eye. I'm not sure what I expected the weaponry to be. A red laser, an arc of electricity, an actual bullets, maybe. What I do see is a strange bending of air in the space that I'd just been in a second ago, like looking through a warped piece of glass before suddenly it snaps back into place, making my ears pop and throwing my body sideways. I stumble, but I don't stop. Neferu's room is just a few dozen feet ahead of me. Now I hear the drones, an odd, angry buzzing like wasps. Halt, Marco. I hear Calm's gentle, calm voice, a stark contrast to what he's actually doing right now. It startles me, and I put on an extra burst of speed just before I reach Neferu's door. I can only hope that he's there. Otherwise, I'm going to be cornered. It'll be where I die. With my breath wheezing through my throat, I throw a hand out desperately, pressing into the black panel on the door. Nothing. It doesn't open. It's locked. I thought doors don't lock here. I see drones out of the corner of my eye, and I pound on the door as hard as I can, screaming as loud as I can.
Neferu! Neferu, help!
There's a pause, and I hear something to my right that sounds like static, getting louder and louder as I press myself against the door, waiting for whatever it is the blast will do to me. Then I'm falling through space. I'm convinced then that I've died, that this falling sensation is what it's like to die. Will I land on something or just fall forever? I get my answer almost immediately as I hit the ground face first on the hard marble floor. I'm dazed as there's another snap, another sharp crack behind me, and I feel the force of it sending a gust of air over me.
A hotep!
Neferu's voice yelps above me, and I hear the sound of the door sliding shut.
Come, what is going on?
Disengage your door security measures, Neferu.
What's happening?
Neferu is crouching over me now, and I think he's talking to me, but Calm answers him as the jackal starts to help me to my feet. The child is to be terminated. Please disengage security to allow the drone entry.
What? Marco, what's happening?
Neferu has pulled me to my feet at this point, looking me right in the eye.
Ami.
I find myself way more out of breath than I thought I was as I try to gasp out an answer.
Amicus, lost emperorship.
Ewok?
Neferu, open the damn door.
Cato's voice cracks through the speakers above me, making me jump. It's strained and breathing heavily, and I wonder what he's doing right now, what Amicus is doing. The jackal pushes me back to stand behind him, keeping himself between me and the door. Even though he's got his face set into a certain glare, he's as calm as he always is.
What a pleasant surprise to hear your voice. May I ask why you want entry into my quarters?
The Emperor's quarters, you dog. Calm, override door security.
Overriding security. There's a hiss, and click from the door, and suddenly it slides open. Quickly, Neferu backs into me, much like Amicus did earlier this morning, and I find myself pressed back into one of the pillars. The jackal's body against almost entirely covered me up. Although I know Amicus is a good deal bigger than Neferu, I'm still struck by the jackal's size now that he's so close to me. Step aside, Neferu, or risk being shot.
Don't shoot the jackal. Neferu, what are you doing with it?
Cato is breathing heavy, and it sounds like he's moving around.
Can't see a damn thing. Have you called a ship?
Yes, Your Imperial Majesty.
There's more muffled movement. There's more muffled moving around, and I wonder what Cato is speaking into. Maybe a drone?
Neferu, I asked you a question.
Simply protecting a fellow Chemian.
There's a moment of silence.
A what?
Chemian. You know.
Neferu enunciates very slowly, and I look up at the back of his head, just as confused as Cato.
Don't press so damn hard, cat. What do you mean, Neferu?
Cato's voice takes on a more growly tone as he turns his attention from whatever he was doing back to us.
I mean that the child has been granted citizenship in the Chemian kingdom, and it would be unwise to attack him.
Neferu's voice takes on an almost smug tone.
An attack on him would be an attack on us all. Surely you understand this, Emperor.
You lie.
Would you like to test that?
There's a long pause. In the meantime, a low, rumbling sound growls, audible not only through the intercom, but through the floor of the palace as well.
The ship is arriving, Your Imperial Majesty.
Yes, I can see that, cat. Neferu.
Another long pause.
We will discuss this further once I'm back in the palace. I don't know what you and Amicus have planned, but know that I'll be keeping a very close eye on you. That creature's not to leave the palace.
The wolf suddenly grunts, and I can hear the voices of another wolf as well.
I'm fine. Just get me to the hospital.
There are more sounds of movement, grunting, cursing, and voices of concern before the wolf speaks up again.
And remember, you have no way off this moon at the moment. It would be wise to do as I say.
Of course, Your Majesty.
Cato grunts.
Cancel last directive. Execute Marco if he tries to leave the palace.
Yes, Cato. The connection suddenly cuts off, and the two of us are left standing in silence. Finally, Neferu lets out a long sigh.
Damn.
The jackal finally takes a few steps forward before turning to face me.
Well, this situation is less than ideal. I received news that you somehow rose from the dead last night, and now this. Calm, send us the physician.
Even though I've caught my breath at this point, I realized that I'm sweaty and covered in scratches. Cannot comply with directive. Felix is currently in the dungeons.
Oh, did the line not pick up? Sorry.
No, it didn't.
What? Why?
Under the orders of the Emperor, Neferu.
Damn.
This time, the jackal says it out of amazement rather than annoyance.
Well, send bandages and a salve at least.
Yes, Neferu.
Marco, what happened? Where's Amicus?
After a few more deep breaths, I begin to go over everything that just happened, starting at the point where we were woken up by Cato, and ending where I'd attacked Cassius and made a run for Neferu's room. I try to keep things vague, like Cato just deciding Amicus was unfit for the job and unwanted, to illegitimately put Cassius on the throne. But of course, Neferu immediately realizes that I'm leaving things out.
Then why does he want you executed? It seems odd he'd suddenly decide to do all of this now.
I hesitate, and it's at this moment that the door slides open, causing me to jump and cower as a drone enters.
Steady, Marco. It's just the medical supplies I requested. Have a seat on the bed.
There are 2 beds, but the jackal gestures to the smaller one. Dumbly, I point this out to him.
Why do you have 2 beds?
As I sit, Neferu sets the supplies, all laid out on a metal tray to the side, uncorking a bottle and dipping a brush into it. He then starts to apply a dark orange liquid to the cuts of my arms and legs.
Well, one for the Emperor, and, interestingly enough, this one for the Emperor's pet. Lift your arm.
I do as he says, still feeling numb as he starts to coat a rather deep cut on the underside of my arm.
And we go find Amicus?
Where's Amicus, Com?
That information is confidential and only accessible by the Emperor, Neferu. I see the jackal's eyes narrow as my stomach turns.
What does that mean?
Could mean any number of things.
I clutch my hands together, feeling my anxiety grow.
But is he alright? What if Cato did something to him?
Neferu rests a paw on my shoulder.
I understand your worry for Amicus' safety, but also understand that Cato would not even think of taking Amicus' life. Your wolf is likely imprisoned somewhere after what he did.
That doesn't make me feel all that much better, but I manage to hold still as the jackal continues to treat me. After a period of silence, though, Neferu sighs.
So at this point, it seems we're in a rather precarious situation. I promised Amicus that if something happened to him, I would do everything in my power to keep you safe.
Neferu pauses, and only continues when I look up to meet his eyes.
And it would seem that what he had worried about has come to pass. And now I must carry out that promise. But to do that, I need you to be honest with me so that I may know exactly what we are dealing with.
I gaze at Neferu for a while, wondering how much is at stake right now. The events of the past hour have left me emotionally drained. Numb, aside from the twisting anxiety of wondering what's happening to Amicus right now. I feel myself deflate.
Amicus made first contact with me. Cato found out.
I wait for a moment, wondering if the jackal is just going to toss me out into the hall after learning such a terrible secret. But when Neferu doesn't say anything, I look up. I guess I expected to see a look of shock or even horror on the jackal's face, but it's almost a look of annoyance.
You know, I expected such a thing considering all of the odd quirks you possess, but I had also thought that even Amicus would not be so foolish enough to do it.
I feel myself growing a little defensive.
Hey, he didn't know. We've been contacted by the wolves before, but we lost the history of it somehow.
Even so, you should have taken care. That's in the past now, however. We must focus on the present.
Aren't you worried about getting in trouble?
Me? Why would I be worried?
Isn't unauthorized first contact, really bad?
Well, yes. But I'm not the one who committed the crime. The burden rests on Amicus and on the wolves. I'm merely here to help a sapient that I did not know was an uncontacted alien.
Neferu starts to wrap the bandages around the deepest cut of my arm.
And how do I become a citizen?
I authorized it at the embassy shortly after the deal I made with Amicus. You were never officially his pet, and thus never a member of the Empire. We thought it best to simply grant you citizenship in the meantime.
You can just do that?
Well, yes, I'm the son of the Pharaoh.
Don't I have to sign something or something?
It has been taken care of.
How?
Again, son of the Pharaoh.
I sit in silence for a while, trying to comprehend all of this while still worried about Amicus.
Can we find out where Amicus is?
We will shortly.
How?
Even if it was supposedly a secret, word spreads fast in these halls.
Why are you helping me? This is also crazy.
I've told you before, Marco, it is the duty of a Chemian to help any sapient in distress.
I stare at the jackal.
And why else?
Neferu smiles gently at me.
Despite our past interactions, I consider Amicus a friend. You are very important to him, and I see it as my duty to keep you safe. And would it be strange that I consider you a friend as well?
Friend.
Does this have to do with the alliance?
Neferu continues to smile.
I suppose there are a few other reasons.
Those reasons are pretty easy to figure out. Keeping me protected will keep Amicus happy, and Amicus knowing that Neferu did that will make the alliance more likely, assuming we get out of this mess. Obviously, Neferu won't say, but knowing this is most likely the main reason. Main reason actually makes me feel a bit better. I don't have to worry that the jackal has some other nefarious plans in store for me. Virginia requests access to your quarters, Neferu.
And here might be the answers to your earlier question. Granted, Khan.
The door slides open, revealing Virginia. She doesn't look happy. Immediately she stalks into the room, eyes on me, glaring. I wonder what exactly it is she's waiting for, then the door slides shut.
What in the name of Romanus have you done, alien?
Neferu chuckles.
Easy, Virginia. He's been through quite a lot in the past hour.
Easy. Cassius and Cato are in the hospital. Amicus is in the dungeons. Cassius is to become emperor. Our plans are in ruins, Neferu.
The wolf folds her arms and walks around slowly so that she can better look at me.
What happened?
My first instinct is to stay quiet, cross my arms in that dull, vacant stare and pretend not to understand. But then I realize I don't have to anymore. I'd come to this realization after the second trial, but now that everything has fallen apart, now that I actually have some protection, I feel myself bristling at the she-wolf accusing stare.
Cato's a complete monster. He staged the third trial so that Amicus would lose. I used the nervo on Cassius and should have done the same to Cato. Then Amicus ripped his visor off.
Virginia gives me a look of surprise, probably not expecting me to be so honest, or maybe she's just shocked at how brutal things got. She then looks to Neferu, who nods in response.
But why?
That's when I hesitate again. But again, I feel like it doesn't matter anymore.
Amicus made first contact with my species.
What?
The she-wolf looks horrified, bringing a paw to her muzzle. Now this is the kind of reaction I expected.
Why would he do such a thing?
I don't know. His research on my planet told him otherwise, I think.
Virginia just stares at me, then looks away towards the door.
Honestly, knowing your brother, it's not all that surprising.
I know my brother is an idiot. I did not know he's psychotic.
Now I really bristle. The idiot thing might be kind of true, but talking about Amicus like this after everything that's happened, while he's sitting in the dungeons, wherever those are, it makes me angry.
Hey, he had no reason to believe we weren't part of the Alexios. The library or archives or whatever told him that we were. He just panicked and rushed things when he found out the truth.
Neferu and Virginia stare at me, looking unconvinced. I sigh.
But where are the dungeons? Is he okay? Can I see him?
Virginia paces to the side, staring into the fountain.
He was stunned by a drone, but was conscious as he was escorted. The dungeons are under the palace, possibly just under our feet.
I look down automatically at the marble floor, picturing the wolf sitting down there.
Can I see him?
Obviously not. Cato has allowed access only for himself. That authority will pass on to Cassius when he becomes emperor.
I continue to stare at the floor. I feel better now that I know that he's at least alive, but I want to see him. I need to see him.
So what do we do now?
I look up to see that Virginia is talking to Neferu.
I'm working on it. This will take some time to sort out.
And it was all going so well.
As it often does before it falls apart.
What are you talking about?
Virginia glances at me in mild surprise, like she forgot I was there.
It does not concern you, Marco. You look injured. Why don't you rest?
I stand up.
Look, I think by now you should know that I'm not some idiot slave for you to order around anymore. It was an act. I understand everything you say, and I know all of you have your own little agendas.
I see Virginia bristle, but I just don't care anymore.
Honestly, I don't really give a fuck what either of you want. I just want to help Amicus. So if that's part of this plan you're talking about, then I want to know about it.
The two aliens stare at me. Then Neferu starts laughing, but I cut him off.
Stop acting like everything's so fucking amusing to you. This isn't funny. Amicus is in trouble, and even though he put me in this mess, he's the only one I know for sure that gives a damn about what happens to me.
Thankfully, the jackal stops laughing, regarding me with those blue eyes.
You're right, Marco. I apologize. I was just not expecting such a powerful retort. I like it.
He then turns to Virginia.
He's a part of this as much as we are. I believe he should know what we are up to.
Virginia sniffs.
Granting him Chemian citizenship seems to have bolstered his boldness. I wonder if that was a mistake.
It was necessary.
Neferu then turns to me.
Marco, these plans were meant to be set in motion once Amicus became emperor. We both have interests in Amicus becoming emperor. We did not interfere during the trials, but we did plan to begin our work when it was all but confirmed he would become emperor.
What interest?
Well, it may come as a surprise. It may come as no surprise that I wish to have the alliance. Virginia, on the other hand...
Neferu glances at Virginia. The wolf barely seems interested and shrugs her shoulders.
To be his chief advisor.
In the end, we both agreed that Amicus would best fulfill both our interests as opposed to Cassius. We simply agreed to help each other accomplish these plans of ours.
Interests. I guess that's the appropriate word to describe what most relationships hinge on in this stupid empire.
Do you even care that your brother is in the dungeons?
I asked Virginia directly, surprising myself.
Or do you just care about what interests you?
Virginia scoffs at me, and Neferu gives me what I can only imagine is a warning look.
I care deeply about many things. What I don't care for is being lectured by an alien who does not understand the meaning of Wolven legacy.
I don't say anything, and Neferu coughs.
Anyway, we have plans to work together to see if there might not be a way to redeem Amicus and place him on the throne.
Already? Wait, did you already have plans to unseat Cassius if he won?
Yes.
I shake my head, realizing just how much of a sod this entire empire really is.
Well, then I want to help.
And
While
what-
I never... Oh, sorry.
Was it my line?
It's your line.
Okay. And what would you be able to do?
While I never had a problem with Virginia while I was pretending to be a pet, I find talking with her directly to be rather unpleasant. But I guess it makes sense that she'd be bitter towards me. I'm technically the reason her brother is in the dungeons, and her chance of being advisor is now 0 under Cassius.
Virginia may be right, Marco. You're on unstable ground with Cato and Cassius, the two most powerful wolves on the moon. You should probably stay hidden in my quarters for the foreseeable future.
I frown.
All day... every day?
Yes.
I don't like the sound of that at all.
Well, you could be useful if the third trial was truly staged. Obviously, your word won't hold much weight, but if we find footage to go along with it, we might be able to put a dent in Cato and Cassius's image.
I look up at Virginia, but she's already stalking towards the door.
Unfortunately, I have to attend a meeting in Cato's stead for obvious reasons. We'll have to discuss all of this in depth later.
As she reaches for the black panel, I suddenly have an idea.
Virginia?
She doesn't say anything, but her ears perk up.
Could you talk to Cassius when he's emperor about letting me see Amicus? I just want to make sure he's okay.
There's a short pause as the door opens before I see her nod and nod her head.
I'll see what can be done.
With that, she steps out and the door closes behind her. I'm left alone with the jackal, my new, well, not master. I guess more of a partner? He smirks at me.
Try not to antagonize her too much in the future.
He started it.
I recognize that, and it was wise of you to put your foot down, not only with her, but with me as well. But she is very, very smart, and it's essential we have her on our side.
He's not wrong. I realized just before she left that she's basically my only connection to Cato and Cassius, both of whom I doubt would want to talk to me.
Now,
The jackal moves to the door himself, calling over his shoulder.
unfortunately, I must also take my leave. I'm going to gather a bit of information from the city. I'll be back toward the end of the day. Again, try to stay inside the room. It's locked to everyone but the Emperor.
With that, the jackal leaves the room as well, leaving me alone in the room. I lay back, wondering how things went so wrong so fast. I don't like any of this. Just like my first day on this moon, I feel out of place and completely out of my element. I just wish Amicus were here. I roll over, hugging the pillow as I try to fall asleep.
This is a great place to have a little intermission.
Yes.
Where did I go?
Everyone's doing so well.
You're all doing
Friends.
amazing.
Hell yeah.
They are. It's great.
Kind of
Jesus
sad
Christ.
that it didn't pick up that first line. I think I did a great delivery on it, just didn't pick up.
Oh
Most
no.
of your delivery made it for it.
Ah, that's good.
I don't know. I didn't see who was doing Cato because I'm like looking at the script, but they are doing an incredible job.
Ewok.
That is
yeah.
Ewok.
Oh no, Daddy's
Thank
angry.
you.
Send the feed pics.
No.
Bro, fucking amazing job. Like, it legitimately sounds like just this old dude speaking. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very tiring to do though.
This old legend.
Maybe if you tire yourself enough, you'll age to do the role normally, so.
So, Nox, this is the first time that I actually like felt what you felt, where it's like you're feeling the emotions like going through you. It was fucking wild. Like that the way that you just get like warm and flush and like excited and stuff like that, that's crazy. I didn't think that like playing a character would do that.
Oh. Stop, you're making me blush.
Your Virginia is also incredibly good. So yeah.
Well, I guess
there
I can
actually
be a
want
smart
from you,
bitch when I
Nox.
want.
You all are doing
Just
I'm
amazing.
bad.
to you.
You can't kill me.
You can't kill me. I'm a bad bitch.
Shut up, Fizzy.
But yeah, I'm gonna get myself some more barley tea.
Oh, I need some water, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go fill some water
What do you
too.
mean you're not shooting straight tequila tonight?
No, I'm a lightweight. I get drunk off of less than half a beer.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Really?
Yeah, I can get drunk on very little, but at the same time, I can
Impressive.
also drink a lot.
Well, at least you save money in that regard if you're trying to just drink to get drunk.
Yeah, I know.
That's true, yeah.
It's
I would
called
say
cooking
that.
dinner and doing 3 shots of vodka. Follow me for more finance tips.
Yeah,
So true.
you have to pregame before you get there. Meanwhile, I'm like
Damn,
a sip.
I'm now getting ready to scream as Alexios, so that's gonna be interesting.
Hell yeah. So
Yeah, I'm
excited.
after your ass. I'll be after your ass.
That's right, it's Holy Twink Hour. It's
Yeah,
Holy the Twink.
people are gonna. There's gonna be. You're gonna run after me, and I'm gonna scream. It's gonna be interesting.
Get into it. Actually fall down and slip into a pool.
Yeah, you need to start running.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it. I run a lot
Do you?
from responsibility. Yeah.
Right.
I'm jealous of Shaw because he gets to take a break now.
Yeah. You are doing a great job as well, Leslie.
Ah, there's no breaks for you, Leslie. I'm gonna knock out and I'm gonna feel that during Echo.
Jesus Christ. Is he also... Wait. Are you doing the narrator as well for Echo?
Macau and I are taking that role.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
taking the smallest part as possible for Echo.
I see.
That's reasonable. You've already.
Hopefully we get to do... Oh no. Hopefully we get... What route are we doing first? Have we talked about this, or...
I don't
think
think
we've
we
done any.
decided yet.
Yeah, alright.
I'd imagine we'd go in whatever order is considered
I
canonical.
think I heard that we will vote when the route choice, we reach the route choice, so.
I see.
You're kind of turning into a robot there, Nox.
Yeah.
Oh, kinda, I'm also kinda doing dishes right now, so.
Oh.
That's reasonable.
Noxvia, everyone, the master of multitasking.
I have to go grab a packing. Be right
He's
back.
doing dishes while he's acting his ass off. Give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Nikal, you're really quiet for me.
Sorry, I had my.
Yeah, you are kind of low.
days.
I could hear him fine. You guys just need to turn him up. in
I heard
Discord.
him fine, what?
Like, I don't know. Like, I legitimately, like, have her, like, full volume, and I can't really hear her.
Allow
Sounds
me
like
to
a skill
adjust
issue.
with the microphone gain.
Oh, okay. Well,
Whoa!
Yeah, I have you at 200% in Discord.
Really?
Yeah, me too. Me
I
too.
think I've gotten a cow at like normal. Yeah, 99%.
Is this
Damn.
helping at all?
Sounds fine to me.
Yeah, sounds alright.
Though.
Maybe I
Oh
do in
my
fact just have
Duncan.
my volume low.
Duncan,
Jesus,
that's a great
Duncan.
wallpaper. You can actually do the belly rubs in real life now.
Yeah, he just reaches out of the phone and gives you a belly rub instead.
Oh, aw.
If only.
Aw.
No, but it's like a black.
If only. If
No.
only.
No, it's how it's gonna get you.
You can get
No,
me
that's
any day
too
of the
much,
week, let's be fair.
Too much responsibility.
Me
if you
too.
had a real Amicus.
Yeah, it would be too much responsibility to deal with Amicus in your life.
I'll be fine with that.
Cowards, the lot of you.
Listen, some of us may not want to deal with the disaster himbo fucking emperor.
Damn.
Something I can fix him.
Disaster himbo.
He is a disaster himbo.
He's like the least disaster out of the entire cast.
Literally.
He's a
He's
disaster.
still a little bit of a
Whoa.
disaster, but that's just because
He's
that's
just
just because
too
his
gay.
society's a disaster. Yeah,
That's
too closeted.
Better.
That's better.
I'd never fuck a political figure. God save me from doing that.
I mean, if it was Amicus,
Not even if it was Amicus. Even if it was Amicus.
absolute
Damn.
coward.
Thanks for
Damn.
lying
Mhm.
on stream.
What does?
We caught you
Yeah.
in 4K 1080p.
Hey.
Literally.
That's like
You can
perjury,
cry
that's
only
like-
once.
I thought you said you can cry only once. I'm just like, that's not gonna last here.
Oh shit! I actually just saw like literally the hottest Leo fan art today, and I was so mad.
Is that the one with the short shorts?
Oh, is it
Yeah, the one with
Bonk?
the short
Is that-
shorts.
It's the one with the short shorts.
Yes.
He's like, he actually has like, it looks like you put him in a stretcher. He's actually tall.
No, that's very much like regular like football like body type. That's like
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like compared to his sprite, like he's longer.
I mean,
The responsibility of voicing him in the echo reading is falling down upon me currently.
yeah, and you're gonna do a really good job at it.
Indeed.
Hopefully, I'm gonna have to do a deep voice the entire time.
Be the walking
Let-
red flag you
let-
know you need to be.
Let me just
That's how I'm
ignore
gonna
the
channel
red
my
flags.
inner flame.
I'll just ignore the red flags.
Yeah, that's what you
I
have
mean,
to
Leo
do.
was,
Just ignore the
Leo's-
red flags. Don't worry.
In order to
Leo is quite
tolerate,
literally red.
in order to tolerate him, you do have to literally ignore hundreds of red flags.
That is true.
I can't see the flags if I gouge my eyes out.
Or if you're colorblind.
I'd say Leo enjoyers are still not as bad as Griffith apologists from Berserk. That's all I'm gonna say on that matter.
I mean,
No,
If you know, you know. If you know, you know.
there's a reason
I
the tulpa
returned from
doesn't
the
have eyes,
mailbox.
right?
no, the Tulpa does have eyes.
I thought they were like black.
What, are they just like black? Yeah.
But like, it still has them. Like, they're still there. They're just closed.
It's shades if he was just blind, I guess.
Listen, they're pulling the Bruck, okay? Like, the eyes are just closed, but you can still see them.
I do not see it.
Tulpa's just shades if he still had legs.
Legs
Uh,
aren't in the budget.
It's a shame. I just had another friend actually finish Leo's route yesterday, and they're convinced that
Thank you,
it's
Eli.
the
Holy shit!
Ah,
boys-
damn, I was gonna
What's he
send
so
it.
hot?
That's the one.
Damn.
That's the
Yeah,
one.
I
Why
was
is he
gonna
so
send
hot?
it.
That's the one.
Oh yeah, that's like exactly my type.
Sheesh.
Those biceps are a little egregious, but
Not to me.
They could be bigger.
I'd let that
I
man
mean-
be possessive of me any day.
You all
I think
need
his wrists are bigger.
mental
and his
counseling.
hands is weird.
He does kind of
Damn
have those
right.
yaoi
I
hands.
agree.
but you know, money.
Fair.
So,
Not in the budget. We're heading in a different.
are we ready to get started again? I think
think
it's
we're
already
ready.
10
Look
now.
how-
I
look how
got my
it's
package from the
adjusting
mailbox,
volume.
so yeah.
Well, I'm gonna get warmed up to run, I guess.
Hell yeah.
Nakao is adjusting mic volume.
Okay.
Oh, alright.
And
Poor behavior. Who else would be in there?
I don't think Cassius has a part soon. But I don't also want to be all like, let's go on without her.
She'll be back.
Yeah, she will.
You will.
They always come back.
Oh
no!
Anybody?
Why is William Afton in the chat right now?
Anybody play the new Glory Hounds update?
Oh no! Fuck!
I haven't yet.
I have it. I need
it's
to.
So good. Oh.
Hey, don't spoil. Don't even
I'm not
say
gonna
it's
spoil.
good.
Okay. It is. It is.
Yeah. Okay.
It is.
Okay.
It is the alt of all time.
Oh, I'm not a patron. I got no monies.
It's so good.
I know.
Shut up! Shut up!
It's good. It's so good.
Ban for detention.
Shut up!
ASMR version of that.
Alright, who are we meeting? Smited.
This is the sound of me being angry. You whispers.
Okay, who did I smite?
Alright, I'm about to
That's
spoil.
literally the scariest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Whispering Chris does sound kind of scary. Not gonna lie.
ASMR knocks up.
So are we ready?
Yes.
See,
let's do this.
Those like ASMR weird crunchy videos. Instead of tinfoil, it's just a fistful of Cassius's ass.
Oh no!
Oh
wow, that would be interesting.
Oh my!
Crunchy.
Wait, you know what? I wonder if I can emulate that. Let me see.
What? No. What? What have you done?
Is this coming through? Is this coming through at all?
No.
Okay.
It's probably the non-voice filter smothering it.
I wonder if I have to get more of I have bristle brushes and stuff like that I could just maybe do.
Oh my god.
The old
I love my mom, by the
ASMR
way.
crushing your boyfriend's hip in your fists.
Yeah. I want to turn that shit into dust.
Not in the way that you could.
Oh, well, I mean...
That way too, but...
Yeah, literally. But
I think anyone here could literally destroy Cassius.
Even me. I mean, he's probably barely 200 pounds?
No, I think he's definitely taller and larger than Marco. So it's stated he's larger than the average human being, but he also has glass bones and paper skin.
He's 6'3". And 6'3".
Is he 6'3"?
Yeah, he's 6'3" and a bit built. So I'm thinking between 190, 200.
I feel like if I breathe too hard onto Cassius, you just fall apart like a fucking card castle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, Leslie, would you mind taking it away?
Certainly. The idea of me staying in Neferu's room constantly for the foreseeable future doesn't last long. In fact, a few hours, I find myself leaving his quarters and wandering the halls of the palace like I have so many times before. Cato and Cassius probably won't be back for a little while, so I don't really have anything to worry about as far as I know. Just as I'm thinking this, I see something out of the corner of my eye. A gray tail, green stripes.
Shaw, you have a lot of background noise coming through?
Yeah. Yes. Sorry.
Seeing the cat suddenly reminds me of all the suspicions I've have been keeping bottled up about him, if only to keep the peace in the palace. Again, with all that thrown out the window, I find myself fast walking in Alex's direction, determined to confront him. While I feel like complete shit after what's happened, I also feel completely liberated. Cat's out of the bag. I can basically say whatever I want now. Well, mostly. Definitely should still be careful. I turn the corner as I'm thinking this, and I find myself standing just a dozen feet away from the cat. Alex bent over as he waters one of the plants. He's humming again, and he's smiling when he looks up at me. That smile immediately vanishes. He drops his watering can, sending it sending it and the contents spilling across the floor in a clanging noise. He's basically lost all chance of looking not suspicious in the first second he saw me.
Marco, how are you this fine morning?
Terrible. What are you doing?
I'm so sorry to hear that. Are you feeling ill? What happened to your arm?
Alexios's eyes go to the bandage on my bicep, but I ignore him, taking a step forward. In response, he takes one back.
What have you been up to?
I think that line isn't picking up. Cam.
Oh yeah, is something up?
Yeah, the line.
Right. I don't know if my internet's just bad currently. Up to?
His eyes dart left and right, as if looking for an escape.
Telling Neferu about me telling the triumvirates about what I told you?
I don't know if he actually did that last one, but his reaction seems to tell me. His eyes widen as he backs away.
I have no idea.
Did you talk to Cato yesterday after you saw me in the gardens last night? You realize what's happening right now, right?
Marco, you're scaring me.
The cat continues to back away. I follow, and that's when Alex just gives up on his act, turns tail and sprints down the hall. Before I know it, I'm running after him, eyes focused on the thrashing tail as his sandals slap against the marble floor.
Stop chasing me! I don't know what you want!
I don't bother responding, starting to reach out and grab the back of his robes. Just as I make contact, though, he comes to a sudden halt, pressing himself against the wall so that I stumble and slide past him. He's at a door, and he presses his paw to the black panel so that it slides open before he dashes inside. I don't think he was really thinking about where he was going to end up, because I know that's the bathing room, and I know he's trapped. I turn around and run inside after him, just in time to see him, still sprinting, slip dramatically on the wet floor, flying through the air for a moment before landing painfully on the corner of the bath. I hear him wheeze before plunging into the hot water. If he lost his breath, it's back as he comes back up with a gasp, letting that all out as in a scream of pain. The cat scrambles out of the water clumsily, scratching at the sides with his claws before finally rolling out, looking small and disheveled with his fur all matted up against his skin. He curls up, and to my surprise, I see that he's crying. This sight alone is enough to give me some doubts that Alex is a conniving saboteur I think him to be. He looks so pathetic right now. I stand over him for a bit, looking down at his pitiful form before clearing my throat.
You okay?
Okay, I think you broke my ribs!
Me? You're the one that ran away for no reason.
No reason? You advanced upon me in a threatening manner!
The cat curls up and makes more sobbing noises, and I'm between believing him and believing that he's flat out faking.
Sit on the bench.
I reach down a hand to help him up, but he swats it away. I narrow my eyes.
Answer my questions, Alex.
The cat finally sits up, sniffing and rubbing at his nose, while the other paw clutches his side.
I have no answers. I'm simply a pet.
Painfully, Alex gets to his feet before setting himself gingerly on the bench while stripping off his wet robe.
Yeah, and I was simply a pet just yesterday. I'm not as stupid as you think, Alexios.
Alex looks up at me, that pathetic, sad look replaced by one that I really can't explain. When he remains quiet, I try again.
I know everyone has interests here. What are yours? Maybe we have the same ones?
You're not being very subtle, are you?
What you did yesterday wasn't subtle at all. Who else would have told Cato that I was conscious again? That me and Amicus are lovers.
Alex frowns, then shrugs.
How am I supposed to know? I told Cassius last night. You could have told a number of people, especially Cato.
That makes me pause. Of course Alex talks to Cassius on a regular basis. Probably every night. It would make more sense that the wolf was the one to tell Cato rather than Alexios.
But what about the lovers thing? You were the only one that suspected.
Well, him and Neferu, but I know Neferu wouldn't tell. Alex scoffs, having taken off his robe in the process of examining his side. It looks fine to me, no blood or anything, but he winces as he prods at it.
You think it wasn't obvious? It was a prominent rumor ever since the first trial.
That, and I guess Cato did walk in on us in bed together. I feel my resolve falling a bit, but then I remember Neferu again.
But Neferu told me that you confessed my intelligence to him. Why would you do that?
This time, the cat's reaction is rather different. His ears blush as he looks away.
He was curious about you, and he can be persuasive. I'm sorry I told him, but again, I thought it was obvious, and I didn't think he'd tell you.
Alex scowls, massaging his ribs. I glare at the cat, wondering if I just made a huge mistake.
But what about the triumvirate? I told you first, and then they all suddenly found out somehow.
Alex quirks his head.
Well, Cassius was discussing it with someone else, wasn't he?
Virginia.
Maybe it was that person?
Neferu had said that they hadn't interfered at all in the trials, and Virginia didn't show any indication that she might have sabotaged her own brother. Then again, I have the feeling that she's probably a lot better at acting than anyone else here. I know I can't really trust anyone now, except Amicus, and maybe Neferu. I'd been so confident just moments ago, and now I find myself feeling guilty as I watch the sobbing, wet cat clutch himself, hunched over. I don't trust him to be telling me the truth, not at all, but I also don't trust myself in being so confident that he's lying. So, shamefully, I reach out a hand and rest it on his shoulder. He flinches, then glares up at me.
Sorry, I just thought... I'm just trying to figure out what's happening.
Alex carefully moves my hand from his shoulder, but he doesn't seem all that angry.
That's fine, just don't do it in such a brutish manner next time. You frightened me!
Yeah, and sorry about your ribs too, even if you did it to yourself.
Alex probably hears the smile creeping. Alex probably hears the smile creeping into my voice at the end of that sentence, because he glares at me again.
That really hurt, you know? And now I have to go to the city to see a physician. I'll have to take the awful, bumpy carriage too, since Cassius forbids me from flying.
Alexios shakes his head. I rub my arm awkwardly.
Why is that?
Alexios looks up at me.
Ever since his father's ship crashed and the investigation was botched, he's petrified of it.
Watched?
Yes, so they don't know how it crashed. Odd thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just when I'm having my doubts, I get another flare of suspicion as to why he's telling me something like this. But I brush it aside for now.
So, you know about everything that's happened?
Vaguely, though I'd rather not be involved. Anyway, I suppose it's not so inconvenient for me that I go. I was meaning to visit Cassius in the hospital today anyway.
The cat stands up, bending down with a grimace to pick up his robes.
And I am sorry about what happened to your wolf. I hope you're able to figure it out.
And with that, the cat walks out of the bathing room, his tails dragging limply behind him. I want to say something more to him to figure out exactly what he's up to. I might have went wrong about him, but I also don't feel satisfied with his explanations. I can tell now that we're not exactly friends anymore, even before I caused him to shatter his ribs and boil in the hot tub. I sit on the bench for a while, thinking about soaking in the bath. I realized then that the last time I did that was with Amicus, and doing so now, alone, would be too depressing. I get up and leave, hoping that Virginia took my request seriously. Imagining the wolf below me, alone, is too much to think about. So, I head back into the halls, deciding to just go back to Neferu's room and stay there, like I had been told to. A few days pass like this. There's a bizarre calm in the air. The palace is quiet, despite the absolute chaos that atop the echelon of the empire is in right now. In the meantime, Cassius became emperor with a surprisingly little fanfare. I watch it on the screens. The young white wolf with his right leg and left arm in a cast, which is explained several times to have been in the third trial, as he is coronated by Cato, who is now missing his visor. It isn't explained to the viewers at all. I don't feel much as this happens. Realizing how fake all of this is, how it doesn't seem to mean anything despite how much I'm told it means. It's all theatrics. What matters most now is taking the two of them down and getting Amicus up and out of the dungeons. Even now, I'm not really thinking about getting home, despite the fact that the stretch drive should be returned at any moment now, if it hadn't already. There are bigger things at stake here, and the main one being my best friend's life. And that's why, on the third day after the fake trial, I find myself eagerly involving myself in the discussion with Neferu as he tells me his plan. Cato is due back to the palace that day, and we both suspect he'll be making a trip to our room.
So the most important thing to the wolves is drama, a scene, something memorable. That's all they seem to care about around here.
Neferu sniffs dismissively as he sips at his wine, and I find myself starting to see why Amicus might find him irritating. Not that he's wrong, though, and I usually find myself agreeing with him.
So, make a scene that makes Cato and Cassius look bad?
Well, most importantly, we need to find or even make up information about them that will irreparably damage their reputation in the public sphere.
Like what Cassius did to Amicus during the second trial?
Neferu smirks.
Even worse than that, Marco. Preferably something that shows disloyalty, or insults the pride of the wolves in general. That is something that is something they often can't look past.
I have to say that Shaw, your mic is picking up background noise.
You could just mute yourself.
Yeah, just
How is it now?
Still the same.
How? There's no sound in my room.
It's like a weird staticky mic noise.
It sounds like it's Discord that's having the issue. It's processing audio in a weird way.
Oh.
You could do push to talk as well.
I'll try to.
Yeah. Can you turn on push to talk?
Oh.
Oh, he died.
Oh no! Oh, welcome back.
Better?
Holy shit, Marco moment.
Thanks, I hate it.
Well, yeah, there's no more echoing.
I think it's
guess.
better.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah. But also, if it continues happening, it would be good to turn on push to talk. Unfortunately, I'm the only person that can't use push to talk because I have to keep my mouse cursor on the game the whole time.
Oh no!
So I don't have the freedom to tell Discord so I'm abusing my microphone's own mute button a lot. But yeah. Do you mind rereading this line, Nox?
Yeah. Didn't Amicus having sex with you show disloyalty or hurt their pride?
Neferu waves his paw dismissively in the air.
No! It's been established amongst the public that he was simply furthering his goal of an alliance with my species, which was completely in line with his character. As for pride, well, he wasn't the one raising his tail.
I
Oh my
sigh.
god. So we need something about Cassius and Cato that's out of their character.
Yes, something that shows them to be not who they say they are. The public must distrust them.
Neferu strokes his chin.
Would be convenient to have all that footage that Virginia was talking about, but considering how secure it might be, that could be impossible.
Where's trying to get though?
Yes, I'll have to discuss that further with Virginia.
So what should I be doing?
While it feels good to talk about what can be done to help Amicus, I personally want to do something. Neferu pauses and smiles at me.
Marco, my duty is to not put you in danger, as I've said. I won't have you...
Well, I don't care. I need to help. I'll do whatever I have to do.
Neferu raises an eyebrow at me.
Oh yes? Even if it might risk your own life? Cato is only barely tolerating the protective line that being a Chemian citizen affords you. I would not push him further.
Then I'll do things behind the scenes. I don't care. I just want to do something.
Neferu sighs deeply.
We'll see. Just keep in mind that the most important thing to Amicus is that you stay alive. That's what you can do to help him. That's what you will do. That's what you can do that will help him the most.
I take that in, still not fully convinced that there's nothing I can do.
But I'll certainly let you know if I believe there's a way for you to help. As for me, my status leaves me untouchable, unless Cato wants to risk another war, which I guarantee you he does not.
I'd imagine he has first-hand experience.
Indeed.
Neferu, Cato wishes to enter your quarters. I jump, wondering if the walls are thin enough for the old wolf to have heard us. Neferu doesn't seem surprised, though.
Ah, as was expected. Com, please tell him to hold on for a moment. I'm in the nude.
Yes, Neferu. Neferu looks at me.
I suppose our mission starts now. I have my own drone recording in the corner there, hopefully to catch the old man saying something incriminating. What I'd like you to do is crouch behind those bushes, keep hidden and quiet.
What? I thought I was supposed to be involved.
You will be, but I'd rather he not filter himself because of you.
I hesitate for a second, then quickly do as I am told, even though I do feel bitter at the feeling of being tossed aside once again.
Neferu, I will override the security again if you do not.
Cato's voice crackles over the speakers, but then when the jackal opens the door, for a moment his voice comes from two places at once. I'm pretty well hidden behind a few trees and brushes, my surroundings dark enough that I'm pretty sure Cato wouldn't be able to see me through the leaves and twigs as I'm peeking through. The two males stand awkwardly across from each other before Cato suddenly strides in, forcing the jackal to step aside, though Neferu keeps a smug smile on his face.
What a pleasure it is for you to visit me today.
As Cato walks in, I get a look at his face for the first time. I'd seen that he lacked his visor in the broadcast, but seeing it up close, the stern look I'd always imagined under his the stern looks I'd always imagined under his now broken machinery is definitely there. His eyes have a milky gray quality to them, heavily scarred. The old wolf stops just in front of the fountain, his ears perk up high. I wonder if he can see anything at all, and Neferu asks just that.
How is your sight, your former highness?
I see one of those ears twitch before the wolf slowly turns around.
Non-existent, young prince.
Oh, please, just call me Nef.
Where is the alien?
Neferu pauses.
Alex, or do you mean...
You know damn well who I'm referring to, Jackal.
Neferu raises his paw defensively, even though Cato can't see.
Apologies, Cato. Marco told me he would be in the gardens doing landscaping work.
Cato snorts.
I didn't hear him out there.
It is rather a large garden, a very beautiful one as well.
Cato doesn't respond, instead staring around the room.
Would you like some wine?
Neferu gestures at the bedside table, picking up his own goblet to take a sip, loudly. I see Cato's ears twitch again before he turns to the jackal.
What is your plan with the alien?
Neferu frowns.
Plan?
Do not ever play games with me. That will be my only warning to you, Jackal.
Cato's voice is so cold and ominous that even Neferu's grin wavers, but he recovers quickly, taking another loud slurp of wine.
Such good wine. One of the few superior products your people produce. Now, as for Marco, I'm simply fulfilling a promise to Amicus.
I see. That wasn't so hard to tell me then, was it?
Speaking of, quite astonishing that he was so easily beaten by Cassius, of all people.
Quite.
I wonder how he was able to accomplish such a feat.
It was broadcast. You would have been able to see it.
Ah, well, I don't watch Adastra broadcasts. Too much melodrama and propaganda for my tastes.
Uknu is a combination of skill and luck, and it's not always the strongest that wins.
Of course, though I have to wonder, might any of that luck have been, well, manufactured?
Cato is silent for a moment. Cato being silent is when you know that something is very wrong.
Are you implying something, Jackal?
Oh no, I'm simply curious. I came to study the politics and workings of the Empire, while also trying to improve relations between our species. I feel knowing all the facets of wolven politics is important.
Cato sneers.
There's a fine line between studying and spying here.
Neferu chuckles.
Well, what do I know? What I do know is that you wolves often go about things in a theatrical fashion. And it's sometimes hard to tell what's real or not. I assumed the fight to be, well, somewhat staged.
Cato chuckles, and immediately I know that Neferu is making a lot of mistakes here. I'm not sure what his plan is. Maybe he thought that Cato would be more friendly with him, or that he could lull the old wolf into a false sense of security somehow. Maybe he's just trying to feel the old man out. I just get the feeling that maybe he shouldn't have had all that wine before doing this. His suave, carefree attitude works on most, either to charm or to annoy, but Cato is not someone I feel it would work particularly well on. Either way, it's clear Cato knows exactly what's happening.
I know Chemians pride themselves on their own intelligence, but I have to wonder why, considering your extreme stupidity.
Oh?
Neferu casually sloshes his wine about in his goblet.
Your arrogance amazes me, young one. I know you were fortunate enough to have been birthed after the war, but it's as if you were never taught the history between our peoples.
I've spent countless hours studying this history, Cato, and that's mostly why I'm here.
Mostly. It seems the rest of that reason is to fuck with the delicate balance our empire is currently in.
Certainly not. I'm merely an observer.
I want to tell Neferu to shut up, and just tell Cato to look for me out in the gardens or something. I can see the hackles on Cato's shoulder raising, and I can only hope that the jackal was right about being untouchable.
I know I offered you to stay in this palace as long as you pleased, and I never withdraw an offer without good reason. But have you thought of moving out of the city? There are many more accommodations out there.
Oh, no thank you. I much prefer it here. Everyone is so interesting.
Well, it is just like a Chemian to take full advantage of the wolf's tolerance.
Neferu quirks an eyebrow.
Tolerance? Not a word I often associate with a wolf.
I can tell that Neferu is losing his cool as well.
Our tolerance for your arrogance was unprecedented.
Neferu seems confused for a moment.
Oh, are you referring to the war? I'm sorry. We're quite a bit more blunt where I'm from, so I did not realize what you are getting at.
Neferu smirks.
For a moment, I thought you were coming on to me much like Amicus did.
Definitely too much to drink. Or this jackal is a lot crazier than I thought he was.
You wolves tend to be the aggressive.
Cato becomes a blur, closing the 5-foot distance between the two of them in less than a second. The next thing I know... Oh, I'll wait for it to show. The next thing I know, Cato has the jackal up against one of the pillars, slamming Neferu so hard against it that the plaster crack and fall away. Neferu gasps loudly, kicking out at Cato a few times as he struggles with the old wolf's thick arms.
Get off!
Neferu kicks out again, this time at Cato's groin. If the old wolf felt anything, he doesn't show it, instead holding Neferu tightly in place while he snarls in his face.
Speaking of tolerance, I've tolerated your arrogance for far too long, just because you're the Pharaoh's son. The second son, and of a ruler who has so little power over his kingdom in the first place. I shouldn't be surprised.
Cato pulls Neferu forward, then slams him back against the pillar again, causing more plaster to fall and the jackal's teeth to clack together loud enough that I can hear it.
You're all the fucking same. Every single one of you. But somehow, you're the worst I've yet to meet.
Again, Cato slams Neferu against the pillar, and I start to stand up, wishing I had the Nervo. Neferu growls, trying another kick.
Is this the next generation of Chemians we must deal with? I know you weren't alive for the war, but it seems another one is inevitable if you're an example of what's to come.
Neferu tries to speak, but lets out a low, choked cough. Cato loosens his grip on Neferu, gasps a few times.
You know, Amicus was a bit less rough, but if you wanted to put your paws on me, you only had to...
This time, Cato almost lifts the jackal off his feet, cutting Neferu off with a horrific gag, like he's throwing up.
I must say, you have a funny way of going about building an alliance. It's as if you thought tail-raising would get you whatever you wanted.
Now Neferu really starts to struggle, kicking around aimlessly, throwing his head left and right, sending drool flinging from his muzzle. Cato doesn't relent, and I know that this is my cue to do something.
It's been a while since I've killed a jackal. My paws have been itching to do it again. Maybe you'll be my next.
I don't know what to do exactly. I have no weapon, and I wonder if maybe I can at least distract the wolf long enough for Neferu to get away, to breathe again. So I run out of my hiding spot, rustling the branches and leaves as I do. Cato is so focused on what he's doing to Neferu that he doesn't seem to even hear me. As I run at him, I can see the wolf grinning maniacally into Neferu's face, like this really is something he's been wanting to do for a very long time. He finally seems to hear me at the last second, turning his head in my direction before I lower my shoulder to try and tackle him off of Neferu. It's like hitting a brick wall covered in fur. I make contact with the old man's side, and for a moment I get a whiff of musk and perfume before I'm sent right back on my ass. I wonder for a moment if I dislocated my shoulder, looking up in a daze at what result my attack might have had, if any. To my relief, I see Neferu on his paws and knees, gagging and coughing, drool stringing from his muzzle. Cato is standing slightly to the side, looking in my direction, over my head, but clearly knows I'm here. He only focuses on me for a moment, though. Then he turns his head in the direction of the coughing jackal, Neferu crawling away at this point. Cato makes his way towards him before drawing a foot back. I can only reach out, not even having enough time to ask Cato to stop, before the wolf kicks the jackal between the legs. He does it so hard that I see Neferu's knees skip off the ground for a moment, before he pitches face first into the marble, his knees and pitching face first into the marble, on his knees and clutching at himself as he lets out a howl of agony. I cringe, immediately thinking of the time I kicked Amicus, and how much harder Cato must have kicked Neferu. I start moving towards them again, in case Cato thinks of doing anything else, but the old wolf simply stands there, breathing heavily, head tilted down as he listens to Neferu moan.
But the kicks you gave me earlier, that should put your whoring out of commission for a few days, no?
Neferu was curled up on his knees at this point, paws tucked into himself. It's at this point that I see a gush of red liquid overflowing from his muzzle, and for a horrific moment I wonder if Cato had kicked him so hard that he ruptured an organ or something. But no, it's the wine, and it spills across the marble. Cato wrinkles his nose at the wretched sounds before carefully stepping around the jackal.
As I said, I will withdraw my offer for you to stay. But there are many apartments open in the city. Just know that you will not be able to take your new citizen with you. Otherwise, I'd like to try this discussion again in the future, if you're willing to be more cooperative.
With that, the old wolf stalks out of the bedroom. At the same time, 2 white drones float in, hovering over Neferu. One lowers itself to the ground to begin cleaning up the mess, while the other hands out what looks like a couple capsules on a plate, which it balances on a metal appendage. Neferu, you seem to have vomited. Would you like anti-nausea medication? I stumble over to the jackal to kneel at his side and try to help him in any way I can. He simply keeps his eyes screwed shut, holding up a paw before returning it to his sore spot. Awkwardly, I rub his shoulder, trying to ignore the smell as the drone does its work of cleaning up the puke. A few minutes later, I manage to help the jackal to the bed, his breath ragged the entire way. It's strange seeing him like this, usually so confident and in control. I never expected anyone to do anything like this to him. But I guess if someone was going to do it, it was Cato.
Are you sure you're okay?
I ask for what's probably the 3rd time as I sit next to him, and Neferu manages a smile despite the clear pain that he's in.
No. But I'll have to go to the physician to be sure. All the way in the city since Cato saw fit to imprison the palace doctor.
You need, like, ice or something? I don't know, he hit you so fucking hard.
I'll manage. I just miscalculated. I'll know how to handle him in the future.
I frown, not really feeling like that's the case. As I'm trying to help him though, Calm's voice comes over the intercom again. Virginia requests access to your room, Neferu. Neferu suddenly straightens up, moving his paws from his crotch to his thighs.
Granted.
She nods at the two of us before wrinkling her nose.
Ugh, smells like rancid wine in here.
Indeed. What do you need, Virginia?
To my surprise, Virginia turns to me. Instead of the hostile expression she's been wearing the last time we'd encountered each other, it's much kinder, much to my relief.
Marco, I had a discussion with Cassius about seeing Amicus. He seems accepting of the idea under one condition.
There's a pause.
What?
Well, he wishes to speak with you in private.
Private?
Neferu immediately speaks up next to me.
That is not wise, Marco. We should negotiate with him to allow me to be there.
Virginia laughs.
You really think Cassius would allow a Chemian in on a private conversation?
Virginia pauses, eyeing the jackal, Neferu clearly still hunched up, despite his attempt to keep straight.
What happened to you?
Nothing of note.
I raise an eyebrow, which Virginia sees.
Marco, what happened?
Well...
I pause, watching as Neferu raises an eyebrow, but makes no attempt to stop me.
Well, Neferu pissed off Cato, and Cato hurts him.
What?
I was attempting to pry information from the old man about the staged trial. I was, unsuccessful.
Why did you even think you could be successful? Cato knows exactly what we're up to, no doubt. This is so unlike you. It jeopardizes everything, Neferu.
Virginia seems completely bewildered. And now that I think about it, I have to agree. What was Neferu thinking? But then Virginia narrows her eyes as she sees the jackals grinning, now openly covering himself. His crotch, sorry.
What?
Well, I may have not achieved exactly what I wanted, but I attained something just as valuable.
Neferu glances at the corner of the room where his drone is.
You recorded it all?
Yes, and an attack on the Pharaoh's son will not look very nice on the Kemian news channels, will it?
Neferu.
A dark tone enters the wolf's voice.
That risks war.
The jackal rolls his eyes, adjusting himself rather lewdly.
I would never actually send it, but Cato does not know that. It's simply convenient blackmail material if things don't go as planned.
Virginia squeezes the bridge of her snout, closing her eyes.
You don't know Cato very well, do you? And neither do I. Sometimes I believe he wants another war. Did he hit you?
Virginia's eyes drifted lower.
Yes! Anyway, he's no longer the Emperor. It's Cassius I'd use it against.
You know Cato is his advisor?
But still not the Emperor. I would hope your brother has large enough stones.
Again, the jackal adjusts himself.
To do his job and not listen to a warmongering advisor.
One would hope.
Virginia continues to look unconvinced. I shift around impatiently next to Neferu.
Oh, did he want to see me now?
Virginia turns to me, looking as if she had forgotten I was even there.
That seemed to be the case.
Neferu sighs loudly.
At least try to convince him to allow you to be present, Virginia. I don't want Marco to be left alone with him.
There is little to worry about. Cass is not Cato, but I can try.
Virginia looks to me.
Ready, Marco?
I quickly get up, following the wolf to the door. I look back at Neferu, the jackal looking uncharacteristically disheveled as he's still hunched over around his junk. He gives me a meaningful look, probably meant to tell me to be careful, so I give him a quick nod before following the wolf out the door. We walk in silence, the only sound being the birds and the whooshing of our robes as we make our way through the halls. I'm not exactly sure where we're going, but after a while I realize it must be the throne room. I stare at the back of the she-wolf's head, contemplating a few things. Virginia is the person I know the least about in this palace, which probably means she's doing the best job of playing this little game. I want to ask her a lot of things, but I'm worried about overstepping boundaries, something that seems rather easy to do with her. As we get our way to the door, I can't help myself from asking at least one question.
So, do you care that Amicus is in the dungeons? Like, you want to get him out not just because you want to be his advisor, right?
Immediately, I see the wolf's ears flick back in, hopefully, mild annoyance and not extreme anger. Her voice is steady when she answers me, though.
First of all, It is not any of your business what my motivations are, Marco.
Virginia doesn't follow that up immediately, so we're left in an awkward silence as we walk the last 10 feet to the throne room door. She pauses there, and finally looks at me, her eyes narrowed.
But Amicus is my brother, and for that alone I love him. And, though he's a complete dullard, he's one of the few to be genuinely kind to me in this palace. He is a good wolf.
Virginia turns away, raising a paw to hover over the black panel.
But you would already know that.
With that, she presses the panel and the door slides open. I immediately spot Cassius at the other end of the cavernous room.
So,
Looking at
we're actually getting some people asking if we should be stopping here. I wanted to see if anybody had to leave. Because the scene is pretty lengthy. I'm going to estimate it's about 10 minutes.
I'm scrolling ahead. This scene goes on for like 50 lines.
I can stay, but I'm not. My Amicus is not showing up, so
I can stay put.
Okay, just wondering. Just wanted to find out if anybody had to leave.
Okay.
Mhm.
I don't have any more lines, so I'm good.
I can also stay, but yeah.
Yeah, if you need to go, Nox, this is the perfect time.
Yes, please
I'll put in
prioritize
a
your
vote
life.
for ending here then to have another opinion.
I mean, there's 50 lines, right? It's 10 minutes. I can do it. I'm fine with it. And not just that, I did talk to the person running the light tech for the theater show, and she said that it's fine for me to be late. So
Cool. Well, Leslie, you mind reading it over again?
Sure. Just give me 1 second. I'm refilling my water.
No problem. I mean, it is the top of the hour regardless, so.
Time for that ad break.
Yes, I will also take the opportunity to be right back.
Mm-hmm.
This stream is brought to you by CBT, otherwise known as cock and ball torture.
okay, I have to say that everyone is just doing a great job.
Yeah. I agree with you, Nox.
Jackson, you're wow, Jackson. Wow. I don't know what.
Jackson,
Thanks.
you're
And then
genuinely
you-
turning this into an audio drama.
Thank you.
No, for
Yeah,
real.
this is fun.
What? What? And then Ewak, your voice for Cato.
Like, I wonder if we're going to have to ask the server if there's any like Foley technicians that are going to be able to like live stream from a studio, because this shit can be enhanced a lot
Wow.
with sound effects.
Yeah, right. I was thinking about how well like Jackson did the sounds because it really actually sounded real. Like
Oh, I was actually drinking from a glass of water just for
Yeah.
The secret is
Yeah.
go for the testicles with a
Wow.
ball game every time.
Wow. I
also
can't
the
believe it.
grunts.
Wow.
For the choking, I actually had my hand around my throat and did a little bit of that.
Did you also kick your own balls?
No, I didn't kick my nuts. I did not kick my own nuts.
Alright.
All right, you're not gonna
For
get
some-
the Emmy that way.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, a true actor would have kicked his own nuts to be exactly like knowing the pain.
Well, I've been kicking the nuts
Exactly.
before.
I mean, I'm surprised that there's no scene of using a bathroom in this game, because it's like, oh, I could have done the whole like, damn boy, were you just frying chicken in there?
It's been a good session today, though, so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm astounded. I'm just wow. Just wow.
Okay, I am back.
Perfect.
Yeah, like
Hello.
it's a part of the game where a lot happens at the same time, and it's pretty intense. But like all the voice actors we've had today have done a very good job. So kudos to you
yes.
guys.
My
You all
interest, you
have.
have all of the time.
I stupidly
anyways.
Like, I'm
overfilled
still
my
not getting
bottle
over
and
how
I
good
took
Cato's
towels.
voice is. Like, oh my god, it's so great.
Yes.
Daddy's angry. Oh no.
Honestly,
Daddy's so
Whoa,
pissed.
Daddy's angry.
yeah. Thank you, Ewok.
Didn't send
Yeah,
the
thank you,
feedback.
Ewok.
Thank you, Ewok.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you.
It's like we are having the anonymous session. And today I'm voicing Cato. Thank you.
Squarespace for being our sponsor for today.
Wow.
Wow.
I
With
picture
all
it as
of the mutilation of male genitalia, we all know it would have been fucking Manscaped. A company notorious for mutilating male genitalia.
Well then.
Alright,
On that note,
Leslie, take it away.
Well, yeah, let's continue.
certainly. I immediately spot Cassius at the end of the cavernous room, looking a bit small and insignificant in the extravagant throne. Probably not the best impression for the Emperor of Adastra to make. As I'm thinking this, we begin to make our way towards him. A drone hovers in front of him. A drone hovers in front of the white wolf, holding up a screen under his face. He's not looking at it though, instead narrowing his eyes at the two of us as Virginia escorts me to the base of the steps.
Here he is, brother.
Cassius shifts around in his seat, and for a moment, I think I catch him sitting on some sitting. And for a moment, I think I catch him sitting on some sort of booster seat under his. I'm sorry. It makes me think of the Mark Zuckerberg. I catch a sight of some sort of booster seat under his rear.
Thank you, Virginia. You can leave us be now.
Virginia hesitates, clasping her paws together in front of herself.
Brother, I would feel more comfortable if I were allowed to stay. I'd rather not leave you alone with an unprofiled alien.
Cassius snorts, waving his paw dismissively.
I've interacted with it many times before. I will be fine. If not, then the Jones will take care of him.
Cassius makes eye contact with me as he says the last part, clearly meaning for me to take it as a warning or a threat. Virginia hesitates again, and Cassius's eyes drift towards her in a question. That's when the she-wolf bows deeply before turning away. As she passes me, she gives me her own look, not unlike Neferu's. Be careful. I continued to face Cassius as I listened to Virginia's soft footsteps recede behind me. Then I hear the door open and close. I keep my eyes low on Cassius's feet, though I can tell he's looking directly at me. The silence drags on. I wonder if the wolf is using Cato's technique of using silence to intimidate. Finally, though, he clears his throat loudly, almost making me jump.
First, I want to say that you may speak freely here. I only want the truth.
I look up at him then, and I see he's not looking at me anymore. Instead, it's to the side, as if he's in thought.
I'm confused as to how all of this could have happened. So, know that if you speak the truth, you will be free from any consequences.
Consequences? He makes it sound as if I committed some sort of crime or conspiracy. I mean, maybe. I've been part of some, but that's definitely not my fault.
What do you want to know?
Cassius's eyes flick to mine then, and I see a mild surprise there. He's still probably not used to an alien like me speaking directly to him in full sentences. He speaks again before resting his chin on a paw, clearly trying to look casual.
Who exactly are you?
I raise an eyebrow.
Marco, you already know this.
I know your name, but I want to know more beyond that. What is it that you're doing here? How did my brother find you?
Immediately, our conversation reaches a point where I find myself unsure of what to do. How much can I say to him? Obviously, I can't trust him at all. I know that. But I also know that he is in complete control over what happens to Amicus, and there may be a few things that I have to give up to keep my wolf safe. So I square my shoulders and look Cassius in the eye.
I want to know that Amicus is okay first, and I want to see him.
Sorry, I typed something and it deleted some of the script.
Oh no.
It's fine, I can control X. Immediately Cassius's demeanor changes from sour suspicion to sour fury.
Excuse me? You aren't the one to make demands here. I am the Emperor, and you will answer my questions.
I get the vague sensation of my balls dropping into my stomach as I realize how dangerous all of this is. My thoughts go back to the physician, Felix, being sent to the dungeons without a second thought. But I know I have some protection, and I have to trust them now, and I'm going to make I'm going to make any sort of deal with Cassius.
Yeah, but you're not my emperor. I answer to the pharaoh.
I'm spitballing, but it seems to be working to give Cassius pause. Another moment, it seems like he's able to control himself.
So I've heard. But remind yourself that you are on Adastra. Therefore, you are to abide by our laws and customs, and lying to the Emperor is punishable by death.
And again, that feeling in my stomach. But I have to remind myself rules don't matter here. It's all about playing their game. I know that Cassius would never have me executed or imprisoned while Neferu is here. That would be far too risky for the Emperor. That would be far too risky for the Empire as a whole. I can't be intimidated by the empty threats, even if they threaten my life. If I want to help Amicus, I have to push the limits, at least within reason. I also remind myself that I'm not completely untouchable, as Neferu's balls can attest to.
I just want to see my former master. If you can guarantee me that, then I'll tell you what happened.
Another long pause as Cassius just glares at me. Then he lets out a little huff.
Fine.
It's almost funny how he's still acting like a child, despite now being the Emperor of Adastra. So I take a deep breath. I consider lying, of course, but what Amicus did is an honest mistake, at least in my opinion. Lying will probably only make things worse when the truth could be so understandable. So I start at the beginning, how Amicus came upon the records of my people in the archives, how he rushed to my planet to find a willing pet, how everything suddenly went south when he found out far too late that we were not part of the Alexios, and finally how we tried to keep it secret to keep the Empire safe. I emphasize the keeping the Empire safe part, even if it wasn't originally at the top of my priorities. I'm telling the truth, even if I'm stretching it a bit. Cassius listens to all of this, with the various reactions: contempt, surprise, anger, even contemplation. I'm struck by the contrast between him and Cato. While Cato keeps his emotions in check, aside from the occasional explosion of rage, Cassius wears all of Cassius wears all of it on his sleeve. Not that different from Amicus in that way, even if his personality is. When Cassius still doesn't say anything, I sigh.
It was an honest mistake. You've got to understand that.
I already know that it was a mistake. Even Amicus would not make first contact on purpose. I had just wondered what sort of stupidity caused it.
He had no reason to think we were uncontacted. We were recorded in the library, or whatever.
Cassius suddenly shifts on the throne.
What are you? Species and planet name.
His last sentence has the inflection of an expended demand. His last sentence has the inflection of an expectant demand. Now I'm left to stand in silence. No fucking way I'm telling this wolf brat where I'm from. Cassius must see this on my face immediately, because his fur once again puffs out in anger.
Do you want to see Amicus or not? I need to know this to verify that what you are saying is truthful.
Is that really why? I know what you wolves do to other aliens. Why would I give away my people like that?
Cassius puffs himself up even bigger, and I wonder if he's going to start screaming at me. Then he suddenly just deflates.
Problem here is first contact, yes? So why would I go out to find and do whatever it is you think I'd do to your people? I have no interest in furthering the problem. I simply want to know.
But why do you care?
Cassius snaps his eyes back to mine.
Believe it or not, Marco, I am trying to help Amicus. Do you not know the consequence of such a crime? He could be executed for this.
Now my heart does a backflip.
What? Why?
Because it is a sacred rule created by the parents. Disobeying them risks our entire empire to abandonment.
But you're the emperor. If you want him kept alive, can't you just do that?
I feel myself starting to panic a little. I thought that maybe Amicus would be kept in the dungeons for a while, but never that he could be at risk of being executed.
If it were only that I knew of this, maybe. But there are others that know of his crime, and they expect me to terminate all evidence of the first contact.
Cassius stares at me, and I realize that part of the evidence is, of course, me.
Are you talking about Cato? He's just your advisor, right? You can ignore him.
This time, Cassius doesn't respond, looking away again.
If I can make the case that this was a truly honest mistake, then maybe I have a chance of convincing these others. Better yet, convince them that this wasn't first contact at all. Are you even sure your people are completely unaware of the Alexios?
I start to say that I'm pretty sure, but he's looking at me in a strange way.
Our governments are pretty secretive. They might know something.
So, it's possible that a crime wasn't committed at all. Simply a misunderstanding. And knowing where you came from can help us determine that.
I'm a bit caught off guard by all of this. I guess I just expected Cassius to let Amicus rot in the dungeons while he enjoys his emperorship. But I'm realizing that I'm reminded of what Virginia had said earlier, that although they might stab each other in the back, they're still siblings.
Didn't you once say that you didn't care about the parents? Wouldn't it be part of your plan for them to abandon the empire?
Cassius sighs deeply.
I've said many things, but I've found out that Once you become emperor, your perspective on things change.
Like, how much you need the parents?
Cassius glares at me, so I just go on.
How would they find out anyway? Amicus says something about monitors. Obviously, we can just talk about it out in the open without anything happening.
I look around, as if expecting a monitor to poke his head out from behind one of the pillars.
I don't know, but what I do know is that the fewer who know, the better.
What even is a monitor?
Cassius shrugs.
Again, I don't know. None have appeared in living memory. But that does not mean we should not be cautious. The risk is far too great.
I don't really understand this. I feel like if the parents are so powerful, I feel like if the parents are as powerful and all-knowing as these aliens make them out to be, then they probably already know I'm here. Before I can bring this up to Cassius, though.
So, what are you and where are you from?
I think he's right that it wouldn't make sense for the wolves to go after Earth. It's technically the last thing the Empire would want, especially with Cassius as Emperor considering his isolationist views. But most importantly, it could help Amicus. I take a deep breath.
And if I tell you, you'll let me see Amicus?
Yes.
I don't like only being able to go on his word, but for some reason, I feel like he's being sincere.
I'm a human from the planet Earth.
Human. Earth.
Cassius mumbles the words, the lingua cutting off and allowing me to hear the wolf's accented voice and unfiltered. He pulls the floating drone to his side and towards himself, tapping at the screen a few times, probably making notes. It feels incredibly wrong at that moment, like I'm betraying all of humans somehow. But again, I can't see why it would put Earth in danger. On top of that, I'm also counting on Amicus becoming emperor eventually, and I know he'll never do anything to my planet. I'm playing the game. Cassius stares at the screen for a while and shifts around on his feet. And I shift around on my feet.
So, I can go see him now?
He snaps his gaze up to me.
Yes, now is best. Cato should not be back for a few more hours, but I can only give you 20 minutes, just to be safe.
Cato, what about him?
What do you mean, what about him?
I want to ask Cassius why it sounds like Cato is in charge and not himself, but I know not pressing those buttons right now. But I know not to press those buttons right now.
Never mind. So, can I see him regularly?
Cassius sighs loudly again, standing up.
If it's not often, and if you come to me first, and if Cato's away.
Yep, definitely not fully in charge. Cato's clearly got some control over Cassius. Either way, I'm too happy at the thought of being able to see Amicus semi-regularly to care at the moment.
Anyway, escort Marco to the dungeons to visit Amicus for 20 minutes.
That's when I remember I have another question.
Wait, do you have contact with the parents now?
Cassius looks at me strangely.
Yes, we made contact after I became emperor. It was expected.
Oh, that's good.
Indeed, though we had to implement the traditional technique. It's a bit archaic, but highly effective.
Oh, so do you have the stretch drive again?
Cassius looks at me suspiciously.
Hey, I need to get home eventually, and you be getting rid of the problem if you got me there.
Well, no, not yet, but I've only spoken with them a few times. I'll be meditating on that today. I'll keep you updated when we discuss things in the future.
You want to talk to me again?
Yes?
Cassius then stalks off while the drone circles around me, telling me to follow it. I think about apologizing then for the whole Nervo incident, but I realize if he's not going to mention it, then maybe I shouldn't either. I realized then how strange the whole exchange has been. Cassius had seemed like a whole different person, and I guess now he thinks of me more as an equal, at least in terms of intelligence. It makes me almost tolerable. It makes him almost tolerable.
And that's where we finish.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, congrats, everyone.
Just wow. But yeah, I
Good
need to
work,
get
everyone.
running.
Yeah, bye, Nux.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I enjoyed this time.
Yeah,
And
Nux.
really, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Have a nice one, y'all.
I
Take
hope I don't
care.
meet any hot wolf husbands anytime soon. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to give them any of that good batter.
True.
All right, so I'm going to be stopping the stream.